Welcome to tonight's episode of the Second Syndicate. We have some really special guests here tonight. I'm Teddy Collins, with the second co-host of the Second Syndicate, with my lovely guest host, Alicia Garcia, the Boomstick Babe. Tonight we have House Minority Whip, Representative Ryan Armagost, and gubernatorial candidate, Representative Dr. Scott Bottoms. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We're glad to have you. We've got some pretty important updates for the 2A. I'll let Alicia go ahead and talk a little bit about those, and then we'll get into more detailed introductions here with our guests.
Awesome. Well, everybody out there, thank you so much. All those that attended our event with Lily Tang Williams this past weekend, we really appreciate you showing up. To all of our sponsors, we really appreciate everything you donated. For those that came out and spoke, thank you for your time. Special shout out to Lily for helping us with just bringing her presence and all the light and energy she does, as well as to the gallery for hosting us. We had a really nice time. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. We're going to make sure that we're going to have more events. We're going to bring you more education and more experiences in the 2A, because as of today, Teddy Rowe and I of Spartan Defense and my company, the Boomstick Babe, have collaborated, and we have officially become a 501c4. We've actually filed for it, so we are now able to lobby and do more political things that we want to do to make sure that we have better candidates. We can start ballot initiatives and things of that nature. So shout out to us.
It's awesome.
Shout out to us for doing that. And without further ado, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We have Jared Polis, who signed Senate Bill 25-003 today.
In the dark behind closed doors.
Like a creepy old son of a gun. So what he did is he announced about 2 hours before he signed it that indeed he is going to sign Senate Bill 25-003, which is the ugliest, most egregious gun control bill the United States has ever seen. It is far worse than anything California has. And guess what? He did it behind closed doors with all the commie mommies and the bootlickers and all the anti-gunners that sit there and stroke his ego in hopes that he would sign this, which he absolutely did. And today we have these wonderful gentlemen who also have created the 2A caucus here to talk about that. They are fighting diligently for the 2A down at the Gold Dome. Thank you guys very much for doing that for us and putting all the time and effort in just to be the voices of the people.
Yeah, for those of you watching live, big round of applause for these two gentlemen. Their efforts
For
for
real.
2A they're outstanding. These men have been fighting extremely hard for us, and we need them to be in office and stay in office. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Scott Bottoms will be running for governor. He's the person we need in the gubernatorial office. We need him there to fight and defend our 2A rights and to veto these horrible, whack, psycho job bills that they keep putting out every legislative session.
So let's just get some introductions from each one of you. We'll start with Scott. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're going through right now down at the Capitol, and what your goals are for your governor race.
Well, down at the Capitol, it's easy to explain. It gets worse every day. We spent all day today just going through the finals on the budget, and it's crazy. They're taking all of our money away. They're using it for all these crazy pet projects. They're funding abortion, funding transgender surgeries, all these things that are anti-parent, anti-child, and that's just right off the heels of the transgender bill, which is right off the heels of the abortion bills, which is right off the heels of the of 003, the most egregious gun bill in the states. And so, yeah, it's not a lot of fun down there right now.
Yeah, we're worried about all these social issue bills that they're trying to pass, but yet they're not worried about the financial deficits that Colorado's facing or the economic troubles we're facing in the state.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to be very clear about, though, is like us here at the Second Syndicate, we're not sitting here saying that we're anti-people or, we're like, I don't care if you're trans. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care about any of this stuff. I just don't want to pay for it, and I just don't want it in the schools. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
Or should it be our focus right now? We have way more pressing issues in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, and I think civil liberties is something that should be a priority, and I feel like right now with all the silliness that they're proposing down there, I think there's at least 25 bills right now that have the word firearm in it in this session.
And this isn't, we still have another session before the next election as well, so we're going to have to deal with this come 2026 as well, which is going to be crazy. I wonder what they have in store for us then.
Yeah, and you can also hate guns, but don't force that on us.
Agreed.
Correct.
You can be transgender. Don't force that on us, and definitely don't force it on our kids.
Yes.
This is the issues that we're dealing with there. You also asked about the gubernatorial run. They don't realize this. I do say this often alluding to this more than saying it directly in the House chamber. But all this stuff that the Democrats are doing, and these are not normal Democrats in the House. These are leftist Marxists. They do not represent most of the Democrats out there in the state, I don't believe.
True.
And all the things that they keep doing, they're going to put me in the governor's seat. They're going to put me there because they are turning Colorado against all of these things. And the people of Colorado, both sides of the aisle, they're getting tired of this stuff. They're getting tired of
We
all
need
of
you in
these
that seat, sir. We need you in that seat.
So Armagost, tell us a little bit more about yourself and let us know what the 2A caucus is for everybody out there that don't know what it is.
Other than, of course, having the best decorated office in the Capitol building there.
Well, and partly thanks to you. But yeah, no, this is for both me and Scott. This is our second term. We had to deal with the last 2 years of just being bulldozed by these anti-gun bills. And whenever we have any kind of testimony, people come in and they beat the same drum. And the other thing is that we deal with in any committee that these gun bills or anti-gun bills come through, the argument, the proponents for anti-gun, their argument is strictly based off of ignorance and just overall misinformation about firearms, about use, and they just keep referring back to school shootings and mass shootings and all these things that aren't portraying the picture that they're trying to paint to pass the bills they're passing. It's sad because they still pass on the majority, but they're passing on this crazy misinformation, disinformation, and just ignorance. So I think the two big reasons why we wanted to come forward with a 2A caucus was not only to help get information out there, even to the Democrats that are pushing this stuff, just have an idea, have a concept of what you're talking about rather than just spewing nonsense. Yeah. But I think it also helps people to understand that firearms in and of themselves aren't going to cause violence. They aren't, the tool isn't what causes the violence.
No, it's the individual.
And the things that people aren't under, what's that?
I said it's the individual utilizing it.
100%. Yeah. You take the person out of the, you take that element out of the situation or the incident, and you don't have the violence. But the tool of it in and of itself was just, I don't know, everything. The assault weapon is just this big idea that they have of this crazy movie item that just, it's so over portrayed in video games and movies and everything else that's what they're going toward, is this whole assault weapon thing. And all in all, it comes down to an AR platform rifle. So
yeah, and let's be honest, the majority of mass shootings that occur are not committed with an AR-15. They're not committed with a
handgun.
A rifle. It's a handgun. Virginia Tech is a handgun. The majority of school shootings that have occurred have been handguns. It's very rare that a rifle is used in these incidents.
Stolen
handguns. That's what they're going after. I mean, I don't think they should go after any weapon. They should go after the individuals and try to change the culture that is causing what's occurring. Mental health is a huge issue in this country.
We are 47th in the nation in Colorado in mental health resources. We are third now in the nation for gun control after this bill was signed today. We are first in the nation for car break-ins and theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And one of the most overregulated states as it is, but it's not reducing the crime as it is. The crime is nationally going down, but Colorado is at a slower decline. Colorado's at a slower decline than the rest of the nation is. So, I mean, we're still dealing with more crime than any other state in the nation. And it's all based on these ridiculous laws that don't do anything to protect law-abiding citizens from criminals with guns. And how do criminals own guns? They don't obtain them legally. Correct. So any of these laws that they're pushing forward to restrict law-abiding citizens aren't preventing criminals from getting guns and using them criminally. So
no, they're not. I mean, even in the we can go to Silver Springs Church in outside of San Antonio, Texas, where the person went into a church with a firearm that they obtained through they actually did go through a NICS background check, but they didn't catch that he was dishonorably discharged from the armed forces, which is one of the disqualifying factors for 4473. Things of that nature. Usually these arms are actually received illegally. They're stolen from somebody, they're received through a straw purchase, they're received in some way that is illegal, not legally obtained, and the large majority of firearms crimes and mass shootings that occur.
And
Yeah.
yet, right now in the state of Colorado, it is still not a felony to be in possession of a stolen firearm.
Something that our Representative Armagost here is trying to change with your bill. If you want to talk a little bit about that, Rep.
Sure. So, I mean, just to finish up the whole thing with me and Rep Bottoms coming forward, we're probably the two most well-versed people in our caucus as far as firearms are concerned. We're definitely two of the biggest collectors in our caucus of firearms. And to be able to push the word and information out there, I think that's the main thing in us moving forward with the two-way caucus together as co-chairs. But as far as, it's House Bill 1062, which is the penalty for theft of firearms. I ran a bill last year, cut and paste, the same exact bill last year, just a different bill number, that was killed in committee and judiciary before it even saw the light of day. So I knew this year I'd have the same obstacle in getting it through judiciary. We have an even worse makeup than we had last year in judiciary going forward. So, I had some concerns there. I was able to work some angles to get the governor to support the bill. I got the majority leader as a co-prime on the bill, who ironically runs some pretty anti-gun legislation herself. But even with that, the anti-gun legislation, Colorado Ceasefire, who is the epitome of the lobbying behind anti-gun bills, actually lobbied this bill for penalty for theft of firearms. And I knew I needed that just to be able to get through the Democrat filter and the hard activist leftist filter of the Judiciary Committee. And we got it through Judiciary, we got it through Appropriations, we got it through second reading on the House floor. It'll be up for third reading on the House floor tomorrow, and then it'll go on to the Senate and repeat the same sequence. So I'm fairly certain, being the whip, I definitely know how to kind of track down how votes are going to look. And I already did that in the Senate. It looks like it's going to be clean all the way through, so it should be signed into law by the end of session.
And I can tell you, for me, this bill is important as someone who's been affected by gun theft, someone who's had
Absolutely.
a car smashed through their store, and those people back on the street within 30 days because there weren't enough enough crimes and criminal charges to actually hold them in jail and to keep them in jail, to let them out on essentially probation with community service for stealing firearms with the intent to distribute those firearms on the street. It's insane. And I do remember last year some of the oppositions to this bill from the other side of the aisle were things like disproportionately affecting minority communities, which is probably the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. To say that a certain type of person would be more affected by firearm theft being a felony. No, we need to hold people accountable for their actions. We need to reward good behavior, but we need to punish bad behavior.
Yeah, and it doesn't come down to, they want to make it out like it's targeting these perpetrators of any sort of ethnicity. What about the victims?
Exactly.
You're a perfect example of that. You were victimized pretty significantly. Luckily, nobody was there to be injured in the whole melee that went down at your,
Thank God.
at your business. But holy cow, it's just it's ridiculous that we're overlooking that kind of stuff and passing that off like, oh no. That's, it's a firearms business. That's just going to happen there.
In this situation, there's multiple victims. The person who had their car stolen didn't have it insured. They weren't able to replace their vehicle. Their vehicle's gone. There was some poor college student that had their car stolen and used in a crime. So then we have the car theft side of things. And then we have these people back on the streets in 30 days. So it's a necessary step. And I thank you for your efforts to get this passed through the legislature. I really do hope it'll pass the final reading and pass in both chambers. So
I want people to understand also that it is very, very difficult to get Democrats to support anything that we do. And I've had a lot of people tell us, especially now that we are the Second Syndicate and we are becoming more active politically in the Gold Dome and advocating for Second Amendment rights, that people think because you're a gun owner, that automatically means you're supposed to be a red voter, you're supposed to be Republican, you're supposed to be very, very right wing. And the Second Amendment is not a political affiliation. It is a civil and it's a human right. And all parties and all sides of the spectrum should be making that a priority. So it's very, very impressive to see that you're willing to negotiate that with people that normally party line vote in order to get harsher penalties imposed for crimes like this. But shout out to Zack Attack. Round of applause for Zack Attack. Thank you so much
Thank you for the
for
super chat,
donating
brother.
for that super chat. All the money that you guys donate through the YouTube channel goes directly to the Second Syndicate for us to help fund more events, help fund more education, ballot initiatives, etc. So thank you.
Yeah, and shout out to Big Timber earlier. He donated 5 memberships to our channel. God bless, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much,
supporting
Big
us, man.
Timber. Thank you for all your support too, my friend.
Awesome. Well, cool. Let's move on to Scott here a little bit and ask him about. I mean, Scott, where do you see this going now that the governor signed this? What do we need to be doing? Do you think we need to be going after ballot initiatives? Do you think we need? Of course, we need a good governor in office that would have prevented this from happening right off the bat. You could have vetoed it if you were sitting in that office with the power of the pen. But where do we go from here, brother? Because there's a lot of people that are getting disheartened, losing hope. A lot of people talking about moving out of the great state of Colorado, which just makes Colorado's issues more desperate, makes it more entrenched here. If they move out, we need people moving here that are of the like-mindedness that we have, that are pro 2A. Where do we go from here? What do you recommend that we do?
Well, there's the short term and then there's a long term. And talking about moving out, I just had a meeting with somebody last week that is a very influential, very wealthy individual within the state of Colorado. And because of their influence and because some of the things they do, he was explaining to me that he's moving to Nebraska. And I said, what's the number one reason? I mean, I don't think, like, it's not the transgender issues or any of those. He said, no, it's one thing, red flag laws.
Oh, wow.
He said they can red flag me, and they will, because I'm very well known. I'm in the media a lot. I'm doing things, and I'm a donor and all this. And he said all they have to do is red flag me, and then all of a sudden people are looking at coming and getting my firearms against my will because I've been red flagged. And I told him, I said, I would like for people like you to stay in the state because you do have the influence. But I totally understand. I can understand why he would want to move out of the state.
I get it.
They're coming after us. And so I think the short term is this. You have to have a and again, I can't pick on anybody that feels like I'm done with this, I'm moving out, especially if they got children, younger children in school.
I mean, I understand where they're coming from, Scott. I do get it. But
Sure.
here's my counterpoint to this. Eventually, there's going to be nowhere to run. States that are traditionally red are turning blue across the board.
Yep.
They're turning purple because people are moving from other states and they're bringing their politics with them. We've got to stand and fight at some point. Colorado's ground zero. It's the line in the sand. We got to take the state back. We really do.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I feel like we have to hold the line. I feel like if we allow people to say, oh, we're getting beat up, we're going to run. What about those that can't fight? What about the elderly? What about
those that don't have the financial means
the people
to do
that don't
so?
have the health abilities to leave? What about the people who are sanctioned to be here because of their ties to the military or their jobs of things of that nature? Every single voice deserves to be heard, and every single person deserves the ability to fight back. And if we don't hold the line, if we don't hold this up, it's just going to infect like cockroaches every other state in the United States. So I think now more than ever, it's very important that people that vote red come on to Colorado and let's start
go
buying
and vote.
properties and let's start taking over these blue districts and let's show them what true patriotism is. That's what we really need to encourage, in my perspective.
I want to give Scott a chance to answer, and then I'm going to add to that. But go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you guys are hitting it. This is the thing. I did this. Now my kids are all grown now, but when my kids were in school, we had these conversations. Do we take our kids out? Do we homeschool them? Do all this kind of stuff?
Sure.
And we really spent a lot of time discussing this, and we made an intentional decision to leave our kids in school at that time. I don't know if I'd make that decision now.
I understand.
But we also, every single day, we did not miss days on this. Every day at the dinner table, we were talking about these things. We were talking about our state. We were talking about the Bible. We were talking about things that are so important that we instill in the next generation. Well, here's the problem if everybody takes off. The people that need to be doing the loudest shouting are the ones that are leaving.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's the problem that we're going to be having if we're not careful. Everybody moves from California to here, so all of the good people leave, and now you've got California again. And so somewhere along the line, there has to be, and I would never force this upon anybody or make them feel guilty, but there has to be the people that say, I'm going to stand and fight.
Absolutely.
We have to. We have to.
Most people do not have the ability to just get up and leave. Very few people have that ability in jobs or whatever. And so,
And I'll push it a step further, sir. I'll say that's the coward's way out. Stay and fight. Fight for your home. Fight for what's right. Fight for your rights.
Yeah, and you're not just fighting for you right now. You're fighting for a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're fighting for the next generation. And here's the biggest thing. You're fighting a fight that is going across our nation right now. Do we leave our rights behind? Do we leave this republic behind? Do we leave the Constitution behind? Or do we stand and fight? And we do have somebody in the White House now that, whether you like everything he does or not, the man's a fighter. And
Yes.
he is going to get in the fight, and he is going to continue, and he will not give up. He's a billionaire. He could be doing anything
Anything
wants
else.
to do.
He could be retired out in Florida, living on the beach right now, where he has a lovely
really
home.
could.
You know, I'll say this. You know, everybody complains about politicians not doing what they say. I mean, at least the man does what he says. At least he walks the walk and doesn't just talk the talk, regardless of how you feel about him.
Speaking of walking the walk and talking the talk, shout out to Freedom First Colorado, Josh Salem in the chat for donating. We appreciate you. I-68, Mark, we see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, I-68.
Daily Driver, thank you guys so much for donating. Every single dollar, every single cent lets us know that you believe in us and for us to keep fighting, because this is not easy. We do this all out of our own pockets. This great man and his beautiful wife, their company support us. These people work hard down at the Capitol every day for pennies on the dollar. So this takes a lot out of us, out of our spirits, out of our minds. And when we see you guys supporting us and donating to us, it really means everything. So thank you.
And speaking of donations, guys, you can donate to Scott Bottoms' gubernatorial campaign, also the 2A caucus. We'll be putting links to those in this video. They are definitely people you want to stand behind and support for what they're standing up for us at the Capitol every single day. We need to stand behind them. We need to support them. We need to promote them. We need to make sure that they have the funding to do what they need to do.
Spartan Defense just dropped that link into the chat. If you guys are out there in the chat, thank you so much. We have a whole bunch of great people watching. Please help support them.
Absolutely. Well, sorry, Scott. I think we might have cut you off a little bit there. We had a donation. I apologize.
No, that's a major thing. Cut me off for any donations. You guys have to have the money to do what you're trying to do. And this is the next thing I was going to say, is what you're doing and why you need the money is huge. We have got to get the word out. I say this constantly in the House chamber, is for years nobody knew what was going on there. Now the word is starting to get out. There's so many groups like your group. There's so many people out there that are getting the word out, and this is vital. You've got to tag this and tag somebody else and send it to somebody else and email somebody and connect on Twitter. Do all the different things that you can possibly do, and go from 10 people knowing what's going on to 100,000 people that know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Representative Caldwell, one of our Republican representatives, he's been on Fox News and all this kind of stuff because of a stupid thing. It's a very revealing thing, but it's a stupid thing that a Democrat said. And it was caught up with his statements. This is what we have to do. We have to get the message out there, because the people of Colorado are tired of this stuff, and we are going to win this battle.
Oh, yes, we are.
Your original question,
Yeah.
What do people do? Don't give up hope. We are gaining ground, and we are going to win this battle. It is going to happen.
So we have you running for governor coming up in 2026 here. We have the entire House being flipped over essentially for election coming 2026. What can we do in the meantime? Because even if we were to sweep the House, the Senate, and the governorship in 2026, this bill would still be on the books for at least another year until the legislative session ends, or until the legislative session's able to pass something to remove 003. So do you think that we need to be trying ballot initiatives? Because I see the left doing this every year with things like the Gray Wolf, with things like Prop KK. I mean, should we just shotgun blast ballot initiatives year after year until they get passed? Like, what is something that we can do as a grassroots efforts to try to get this overturned? Because we can't wait on the courts. The courts are going to take too long.
Well, the only thing that the courts are really going to do yet is they are the long-term answer. And if we can get injunctions and things like that, then there's some short-term pause. But that's
Sure.
all it is. It hasn't turned the law over or anything yet. Here's the thing, though, is you put me in the governor's seat, and there is such a thing as executive orders, and we can take care of some of this junk just through executive orders. You can't necessarily overturn a bill, a law, but you can put other things in place to say, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. I've already got a whole list. I've been working on this stuff for months. I've already got a whole list on my first day in office, my second day in office, the first 100 days. We're going to do a lot of stuff economically. We're going to do a lot of 2A stuff. We're going to do a lot of parental rights stuff that straight out of the chute, we're going to change.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think, first of all, we got to thank you, Sherry Carter, and somebody just donated K-Shoot $50. So I think you're getting shot up with some water guns, buddy. I think you're getting dumped on. I think you're getting dumped on because people out there want to see it. Teddy is probably going to be
that's all right.
a wet T-shirt contest, ladies and germs.
You don't want to see that, boys.
God bless it.
Oh, God.
God bless
coming
it.
over here right now.
Everybody, I just gagged a little in my mouth.
Oh, my God.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
All right, down to the eyes. All right. Fun stuff. We like to have fun here on the Second Syndicate, guys. Why not?
Oh, that makes my day.
Woo!
We just debated the budget.
Was your mouth open?
What's that?
I said we just debated the budget all day long, and I think that statement right there made me more sick than that.
Love you too, Scott. Thanks.
You know,
Appreciate it.
I said this off air, and I want to give you your flowers on air for people to understand. We stream a lot of these House and Senate debates on Spartan Defense and the Second Syndicate channel. So for all you guys out there, by watching those and partaking in our streams really helps us. But about last month, I was sitting there and we were streaming one of the House floor debates. I forget the bill. It was I think it was the guns and ammo bill. And Scott Bottoms got up there and he just spoke so much truth. He said, "Why are we up here?"
It was awesome.
Telling with our bowls like we're begging for gruel. We're begging for these scraps for these parties and these representatives to give a damn about what we're doing when we forgot that we don't have to compromise. We don't have to negotiate. We don't negotiate with tyrants. It's time for us to call our power back to ourselves and say no and resist. Stop negotiating with these SOBs and let them know that indeed they work for us. They are civil servants and they're here to express the voices of the people. And it's very difficult to get up there and actually speak out. And I really applaud both of you guys for not going with the flow of things and not doing what you're told, but representing the voices of the people, because that's very rare and hard to come by these days. So thank you very much.
I will say it's hard to get our point across when we show up to these testimonies and we outnumber the proponents of these anti-gun bills, you know, in a lot of cases 20-1. I remember that on some of the nights that we were there to testify that they ran out of testimonies in favor of the bill within like the first couple hours, and we went till midnight in opposition with hundreds, if not thousands, of more people waiting online and in person to testify, and they shut us down. They shut us off. They don't care what we have to say. What we need to do is we need to get their butts out of office, and we need to get some real people in office that represent their constituents and represent and support our civil rights.
Absolutely.
That's what needs to happen.
Absolutely.
So I need people to show up to the polls, because as someone who talks to people about the 2A on a daily basis in my store, has people coming through, I you know, a lot of people didn't even know about the excise tax, and I'm like, did you vote the last election? Yes. Okay, did you read Prop KK on the ballot? No, I didn't vote on that. Well, if you had, maybe we wouldn't be paying a 6.5% excise tax to the state right now.
To hire more bureaucrats. Infringe on your rights.
To fund anti-gun measures.
Can you please clarify this for all the people out there? One of the things that they did with Prop KK is they made all these promises. Monica Duran, who, anyway, saying that these funds are supposed to go to disabled veterans' mental health care, to help domestic violence abuse survivors, which indeed we want to help domestic violence abuse survivors. We want to help veterans. We want to help those people. But our way of helping them isn't by taking profits from the people. It's by actually enriching our communities and helping prevent violence in the first place. And one of the things that people don't understand, and that money doesn't go to those things. It all goes to a general fund. Regardless of what they try to sell you, regardless of the packaging or the message, no matter what, a tax is a tax. It all goes to a general fund, and then it is the decision of the lawmakers and the people in office that pick and decide where that money goes to. Is that correct?
I would definitely say, you're right, yes, it does go into the general fund, and then they get to point out which organizations it goes to. One thing that I can guarantee you it's going to go to is the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which is this you guys know very well what that means.
I've been getting their ads on Facebook recently.
Yeah,
that's gross.
That's that painted over organization that lobbies all these anti-gun bills. There's absolutely zero partisanship. It's completely funded by the Giffords and the Bloomberg and everything else. It's just that gross entity of promoting that leftist agenda of anti-gun. So it's one of those things that we definitely need to be aware of. People need to be aware of. It's not what it looks like. It's definitely something way worse. And all the things we're fighting that are just going after law-abiding citizens. So,
and one thing I want to say about the Office of Gun Violence Prevention is in 2021
we got another
and 2022,
$50 super chat. Thanks, guys. I'm about to get squirted with the water we're gonna give.
Go for it.
All right. Love it. Love it. This is new, guys. This is the first time we're doing this. I don't know. We'll have to figure something else out later.
Woo!
All right.
Let it go. Thank you to Dave.
Sorry, keep
I
going,
appreciate
guys.
that.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
But back to the
Somebody
office.
quit giving.
No, please don't. Please don't. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the first 2 years that they were established, and by the way, Colorado, you spent $3 million of your taxpayer money for them to research coercive studies that prove that guns are bad. Okay. And so what these the first 2 years of these studies when they were published showed that 75% and 73% year 1 and year 2 of gun deaths in Colorado were because of suicide. So self-inflicted harm.
And let's be honest, if someone's going to take their own life, they're going to find a way to do it. Gun's
Look
one
at
of the
Japan.
worst ways to go. There's a lot of other ways to go, and if someone's intent on taking their life, they're going to do it. Honestly, I'd rather see any of the funds that are being taken from this Prop KK, this 6.5 excise tax, going to suicide prevention and making our schools hard targets.
But it's not going
versus
to.
soft targets. But that's not where they're.
It's going to go to hire more bureaucrats
go to
because
slush funds. Yeah.
Polis has his grubby fat hands on making sure it goes to a personnel fund to make sure that he gets more bureaucrats in office that are going to further his agenda upon his exit. Yeah. That's what it is.
Well, we even saw a bill that for Scott and I, it's pretty personal. It was for veteran treatment, and it was a place out of Colorado Springs that is looking for funding just to stay afloat to offer treatment for veterans outside of the VA. And it was going to be using funding from Prop KK. And we had to vote no on a bill like that because it was using money from a fund that we absolutely opposed. We fought through and through so that it wouldn't get on the ballot, and it got on the ballot as something completely different than the voters thought it was. So we had to oppose a bill to help veterans based on a funding source that is a farce that we adamantly opposed. So we had to vote no on a bill like that. That it's a hugely personal and otherwise offensive thing for us to have to vote no on, but
it's tough for sure.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this bill that you proposed that is actually going to make it more difficult for people to commit crimes and get away with it if indeed they're in possession of a stolen firearm. Just to clarify.
Or that they steal a firearm. Possession of a stolen firearm.
Possession of a stolen firearm, or they're the person who stole the firearm?
Yeah.
It would be burden of proof if you are in possession of a stolen firearm. So you would have to prove that you weren't the person that stole it. And either way, it'll come down to getting charged with
which if you bought the gun at a lawful FFL and did a 4473, there's your proof right there because it's easy enough. And honestly, I mean, burden of proof would fall upon the prosecution anyway. You wouldn't have to prove your innocence. You would have a defense from prosecution, and that would be your defense.
Right.
So how difficult is it to create ballot initiatives from your perspective?
Well, it depends. I definitely say it's a lot harder as a conservative to push a ballot measure in Colorado than it is as a progressive in Colorado to push a ballot measure.
Why is that? Give us some thoughts on why that is, because the left is very good at these. Every single legislative or every single election, we see crazy ones. Whether it be the one that passed reintroducing the gray wolf, whether it be Prop KK, same thing, or whether it be, I think last year there was one to reintroduce sharks to freshwater streams in Colorado. There's been some really nuts ones that have ended up on the ballot. So why are they so much better than us at doing these ballot initiatives? What do we need to do this?
I think it's based on the vetting and the approval and having it formatted into the blue book for voters. Being a blue book, it is definitely going to be they're going to use whatever language that the left uses to get their message through, whether they want it to die or whether they want it to pass. And we've seen voters have come through on several occasions and still made it work for us as the conservatives. However, to get it out of this building or to get it on the ballot, it just the measures and the verbiage are definitely going to be weighted and misconstrued, or however they can be molded into whatever they want them to be to make it work for their benefit as best as it can.
So I had an idea for a ballot initiative, ballot proposal to essentially put some safeguards on the legislator, especially when they're starting to regulate our constitutional rights, like 2A, something that wouldn't necessarily state 2A, but what about, doing something similar to Tabor, where it requires a 60% majority vote for anything to regulate a constitutional right. We don't have to specifically state 2A in that ballot initiative. We can just say constitutional right, which would cover the 2A, it would cover 1A, it would cover anything, where if they're trying to regulate it in any way, it would create a higher threshold to pass through the legislator. I think that most people would get on board with that, whether they be on the left or right. Now, I might be giving too much credit to the left, but we could try to do some safeguards like that to potentially put some rules and some breakers in place in the legislator, so a simple majority can't rule over the minority.
Shout out to Juan. Thank you so much, Juan Moreno. Mucho gusto for the super chat. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
But yeah, go ahead.
Hear about the ballot measure mentality too, because I've been working with a handful of people right now.
Sure.
And we're actually looking at putting something on the ballot to take us back to some of the original rules on ballot initiatives. If you go back to 1920, when these rules were instituted, it was fairly easy for the people to get something on a ballot, and it was much more difficult for the legislature to push things through. Now It's the exact opposite. The legislature can just run anything, and citizens can't get things on the ballot. It's supposed to be the opposite. And so we're looking at trying to go back and take some of these rules away, the amount of signatures you need, the cost of all this stuff, and then the committee, and that's the biggest one right now. All of this stuff is slowly stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked, to where this committee that's making the decision on the ballot initiative, they have all of this supreme authority that they should not have.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
we make it difficult for the average citizen to be a citizen. And we're making it more strong for the legislator to be dictators.
Well, the entire Constitution is set up to protect the minority. It's to protect so that a mob doesn't have mob rule with a simple one person vote. Unfortunately, in Colorado, it seems like you're right. We have gone backwards into where a single person, a single simple majority seat, can decide the outcome of how the state votes on laws. I mean, I look at states, for example. I'm going to use Texas as an example. In the state of Texas, the state legislator only meets once every 2 years for 100 and some odd days, and it requires a 2/3 majority vote to pass any bill through the legislator. That protects the minority. That's the way our country was set up. It was set up as a republic, not a mob rule democracy. And unfortunately, I think some of our legislators and I think some of the rules we have in place here in Colorado right now allow that to happen. It allows people to bash the minority. And it could happen to them as well. You would think they'd be on board, because at the end of the day, Colorado is not going to always be purple. It's not going to always be blue. It's going to go back to red again. The pendulum is going to swing, and they need to be prepared for that. So I do think that promotes bipartisanship, and I do think we need to see some safeguards put in place here in the Colorado legislature to keep that stuff from occurring, where a simple one-person vote can change someone's constitutional rights or change someone's civil rights.
I have a lot of things already written up for next session. A lot of bills to pass that have to do with that, but also another thing is taking some of the power from the governor too. We've given too much power from the governor.
Agreed.
And there is not enough separation of powers between governor's office and the legislature. I've already got the bills ready. I'm moving them as soon as session starts next year, because we've got to fix some of this stuff. And think about this. I want to be governor, and I believe I will be the next governor of Colorado. But here's the thing: I'm trying to take the power of the governor away.
That's good, though. We need a limited executive. We don't need a dictatorship, which is what we currently have right now under Polis, who is literally today signed away our rights with the stroke of a pen. And, if he had any form of national ambitions, this will come back to haunt him. I want to be clear. This will follow him the rest of his political career. That man will never serve in federal office. He won't ever be the president of the United States because he signed this bill today, and he needs to know that.
What I want to understand is Polis is a minority. He's representing himself as a gay man who's married to a man.
Which, by the
in
way,
office.
during testimony, we had a numerous amount of gays, even some transgenders that showed up in opposition of this bill because they are discriminated minorities and they believed they would take away their rights to defend themselves, and they were ignored. But go ahead, sorry.
I'm 100% in agreement with that. Is like, who are the most targeted members of society? It is the marginalized individuals of society. It's the people that nobody likes or wants to harass. It's those, the groups of society that people want to judge or control.
Very important question. Someone just asked, if they donate $100, can Alicia get shot with a water gun?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Son of a
The answer is
bitch.
yes. All right, go ahead, guys. Sorry.
But that bothers me because it's like he's coming from a place of privilege. And I remember when I was young, lo and behold, I had a girlfriend who, she looked just like me. We're hot. We're gorgeous. We're going places. And we had the threat of violence everywhere that we went. We couldn't walk down the street and hold hands. We couldn't go to the bar or go to the restaurant and be together without, very, very aggressive people either, hating on us or telling us something or pushing back at us or threatening us with violence. And the only thing that was going to ever level that playing field was being armed. There's no way we're going to fight back against three dudes that are upset with us, that want to convince us that all we need is a good
Well, a firearm
man
is the great
in our
equalizer.
life and want to be violent with us. So it's like, well, how do you expect?
Well, there it is.
Oh no, it's not. It's
There goes
$99.99.
We're taking it. $99.99 counts. Alicia's
But
getting
what
out
I'm
with the
saying
water
is,
gun.
how can you not?
I got a penny.
That qualifies.
But it's like, how do you not represent for your people by putting them at risk for things like this?
No,
That
I'll
was
tell you
pretty
what's
funny.
funny about that. So you guys know I'm the pastor of a church, right? So
Yes.
this was right after the gay nightclub shooting in Florida,
Yes.
and a couple
What
of
was that
Club Pulse.
couple of guys in our church, we got this idea that community needs to be able to arm themselves too and defend themselves, right?
Absolutely.
100%. The 2A doesn't see color, it doesn't see gender, it doesn't see
Perfect.
political beliefs. It's for everyone.
And so we put a little event together, and I didn't know whether people were going to respond or not respond, but we had at a gun range in Colorado Springs. There, we had an event where we paid for all the ammo, we supplied all the firearms, and we got this out to the gay community. And I have some good friends within that community, and so they spread the word, did all stuff, and we said, you show up and you pay. I think it was like $10, and we'll take care of everything else, the training, everything.
Wow, it's very
That's
affordable
awesome.
too.
We had about 35 people from the LGBT community come and do this shoot with us, and greatly enjoyed the whole thing. So we said, let's do another one, and we had about 55 people show up to the next one on this.
Wow.
And then the LGBT community had me going and speaking through the community, saying, why are you doing this? And I told them, because
Because
I
you deserve to stay
care about
alive.
you, and you have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you not have that right?
Agreed.
And it's not our place to judge people's lifestyle. It's our place to live and let live.
It's
I'm
our
very
place
much,
to protect our own lifestyles.
Exactly.
It's our place to protect our family. But what a man does in his own home is his own damn business, in my opinion. But
just keep it out of the schools, and I just don't wanna
push
pay for it.
Just don't push it on everybody. And I'm 100% okay.
I actually am having. Last weekend, I taught a class for the Pink Pistols in Colorado. I taught a concealed carry class for them, and I'm teaching another class for them on Sunday of this weekend. If you guys are interested, if you are part of the LGBTQ community and you want to take part in that training, it is a specific training for that inclusivity. You can find it on my Eventbrite page at Armed Colorado, and you could book that there.
So, someone did bring up an important question in the chat I want to answer from TJ here. I'm late to the party, but how will this affect Spartan's storefront, and how can we best continue to support you in the best way possible? Guys, just continue to purchase whatever it is. Send customers our way, not just our way. Anybody that's local, send them to your local gun store. It doesn't have to be us. There's enough business to go around. Support your local store, though. We didn't see the big box stores at these hearings. We didn't see them at the testimony. We didn't see them standing up for 2A rights, because at the end of the day, these kinds of regulations and laws probably help their bottom line compared to us little guys. At the end of the day, I've got about 25 employees here at Spartan. I try to take care of each and every one and make sure that they have a livelihood they need to survive and to be able to fend for themselves, to be able to survive, to provide. That being said,
There's
I
things
will
you-
say, since excise tax went in effect, we've seen a decrease in business. We have not seen this equally enforced too. There are still stores that we know made more than 20,000 in Colorado last year that are not collecting excise tax out of state and yet sending things into state because it's not being enforced upon them. It's being enforced upon us, and it's hurting us locally. That's the intent of Prop KK.
Yeah.
They want to shut down local businesses so that you do not have a place to go purchase a firearm. And for those of you who think that you can just leave and go over to Wyoming and purchase something that's legal in Wyoming but not legal here, that's not how it works. Actually, they could lose their FFL if they do that. They could lose their federal firearms licensee or their license for doing that. They have to abide by the state laws in which your residency is, which is Colorado.
So if you show a
support your local
Colorado,
stores. That's all
Colorado
I'm
ID,
asking.
they're not going to sell to you. So you literally just passed up your Colorado gun shop, spent more money in gas than you would in the taxes, and now you're betraying the gun shops that are out here on the front lines fighting for you. It makes no sense.
I've seen comments online of people saying, "Well, I'm going to go across the border to buy my accessories and things like that. I'm going to buy them online out of state because I don't want to support Prop KK." I understand that, but at the same time, the only people you're really hurting are people like me and other local business owners here in Colorado Springs and in the state of Colorado. Support your local stores. They have done their hardest to support you and fight against this. I mean, I spent a lot of time up at the Capitol, as did many others fighting against this. I spent a lot of time in Rep Armagost's office there, his 2A sanctuary, which is a badass place to hang out. Don't get me wrong, but I would love to be spending more time with my family at home.
So one of the
support your
things
local
that,
stores.
not only that though, there's people out there that, you know, they're having a hard time. People are struggling. People are needing money right now. Every dime counts. And if you have time to volunteer, we need volunteers. We need people to make phone calls.
Share this video.
Yeah,
that goes
we
a
need-
long way. We're fighting
We need
against
people
an
to share our
anti-2A
audience.
algorithm.
We need people to engage with our
We've got
content.
nearly 500,000
Let
followers
us know
and only a
about
couple
what
hundred
we're
watching
doing.
right now. That tells you how much shadow banned we are from YouTube.
Yeah.
So share this stuff.
And support
Guys.
people like these gentlemen.
I told you I have to take
Yeah.
off. I've got a thing.
Before you go, Scott, one question for you. What's your favorite gun? What's your EDC? What is it?
So I have a Galil AR.
Ooh, okay.
Good choice.
In butter.
IWI.
And
uh,
and a quote from you. Can we get a quote? Something that our viewers should live by. What do you think it is?
Well, if they are going to come for your freedoms, they are going to come for your children. Your Second Amendment is the only thing keeping them from coming from all of that right now.
Absolutely.
Representative Scott Bottoms for governor, guys. Make sure you check out his campaign website. Make sure you donate to his campaign. We need a man like that in office.
ScottBottoms.com. You guys take care of Ryan. He gets very nervous when I'm not on with him. So kind of carry him a little bit with
We'll
you.
do our best.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Love it.
Thank
All right,
you,
now
Scott.
let's
It
ask
was a
all the
pleasure
hard
seeing
questions
you.
to Ryan.
See you bright and early.
Right and early.
See you
Scott
later,
Bottoms,
Scott. Thank you, sir.
everyone. Thank you so much. And now here we are, just the three of us. So if y'all don't know, Armagost has a new office in the Gold Dome, which he very, very kindly opens his office up to us when we are at the Capitol. It has been a very, very grueling session, and it's nice to have some place that we can go. We can, eat our food. We can rest in peace, because when you're walking around the Gold Dome with your
Super
button
chats
on
keep
your
coming in.
chest
Thank you,
that's
Taco
a
Jones.
Gadsden flag or
Thank you,
a
Just
rifle,
Jimmy.
and people know that you're a 2A advocate
applause in
because
the chat for
they
them.
know who we are. They roll their eyes at you, they scoff at you, they say awful things. They treat you like second-class citizens, just like they do with your rights when they're voting against all your civil rights. So it's very, very nice to have a place that we can go and have some refuge. So thank you for that. I also want to say thank you to Big Timber Lodge. Big Timber Lodge is a great friend of us. He is a fellow freedom fighter. He has his own YouTube channel. If you're
Wolverines.
supporting him, we support him too. We do not compete here at the Second Syndicate. We collaborate. So thank you so much. Thank you to the Finest City Cycling for donating. We really appreciate you. Thank you to Taco John's. That's right. He said, we will win. We do not give up. You are absolutely right. I will fight till my dying breath. For Just Jimmy, he says, free men do not ask permission to bear arms. Live long, or long live liberty. That's right. And another person said to say shout out to Armagost from his friend Ezra. He said, Ezra says, what's up? So what's up, Armagost from Ezra? And thank you to everybody that's out there in the chat that's supporting us.
Armagost,
We do this
where's your pup, dude?
very, very much for all of y'all.
Is he not with you today?
No.
Oh, no.
This is budget week, so they're long days. So I
gotcha.
didn't want to risk it and bring a dog in and have him suffer here, stuck in
Yeah,
the
Armagost
office.
usually always has a pup with him there at the Capitol. Almost always, either one or two. You've got to hit. Can we talk a little bit about that? Your background? Are you cool with?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell us a little bit about why that is, where you come from, what you've done in your life, and what led you to join the state legislature.
Yeah, so 22 years military. During that time, Marine Corps Infantry moved into Army National Guard, and overall went from tactical to, after advancing in years, got a little bit more into the mental health side of things. And during my time in the National Guard, I was also with Larimer County Sheriff's Office as a deputy there. I was a trainer on the K-9 team, very, very involved with dogs. I've always been involved with dogs my whole life, but working in K-9 and learning more about animal psychology and the bond between handler and dog, and just the overall obedience with dogs and how much they want to have that structure, that love, that relationship, that pack mentality. It's been a big thing for me. So I've always been involved in keeping dogs around as therapy, emotional support animals. I don't have a service animal. I could, but I'm more about rescuing dogs. You know, somebody says, I wish I could rescue them all. I think I tried. I ended up with 4. 2 was my limit. I ended up with 4 giant dogs. And 3 of my 4 are able to come out of the house. One of them has anxiety, so he has to stay at home. But 4 male dogs, so 5 dudes living in a house. But yeah, just I rotate them out. One of the 3 that come with me will be with me on any given day. But
What's your whistle, buddy?
yeah, they definitely do a lot. It's not for me, it's for everyone, all my colleagues here and guests at the Capitol. When I have two-way folks coming in, people can come in and pet the dog, you know, just love on the dogs a little bit and get the same. But yeah, it's with that, all of my background in law enforcement, military, and everything else. I grew up hunting, fishing, all the outdoors, and firearms related everything. So became a firearms instructor during and after law enforcement and in the military. So I took that on, and I've been maintaining that. But with that, bringing that into the Capitol as well, the idea that people are they just choose ignorance over reasonable conversations, and they don't want to have that. I don't know, you guys probably heard last year when I was offering in committee, anyone that wanted to just attend one of my 8-hour firearms classes, just to get familiarity. It wasn't for me to make money, it's for you to learn. So come in and see what it's about. I'll be around for about 15 minutes after the hearing if anyone wants to come.
No one took you up on it.
Yep, stood there in the middle of the crowd, not a single person.
I offered the same thing to Representative Epps last year, aka the Predator, and she told me straight up that she had knowledge in firearms. I used to be a DA. I'm sure you had knowledge with like your little 22 or your little 38 special revolver.
You know, I want to say shout out to Representative Epps, because she truly gave me my great friend who's sitting here next to me. Because Teddy saw
a fight last year. It was awesome.
You saw us have a little bit of a battle of words.
I think she got a crush on me.
In the hallway, and Teddy was like, "Who are you, you crazy little broad?" So, and here we are today. So, shout out to Rep Epps. I hope
I will say,
it's dark where you are.
For all they try to take away our rights, all they've done is brought us together, and they've brought a lot of people out that would not normally be doing this to become activists, to fight against this. They brought people together. Like, we've seen people come together like never before this legislative session, and we're just going to continue to build our side and build our army and continue to fight back and continue to fight for 2A.
So I want to share some information here that we have for everybody out there. First of all, Tucker said that we should get a whiskey squirt gun. Please don't threaten me with a good time. Yeah, that's a great idea that we have here. I have also rescued and rehabilitated a lot of dogs off of doggy death row. So if you guys aren't out there, you should definitely rescue rather than, go to breeders and things of that nature.
Don't buy from a kennel, or don't buy from a puppy mill.
It's good. It's good for your heart. It's good for the community. Please support small business. Please support your local gun shops. You need to get involved in local politics. If you do not know how to get involved in your local politics, please reach out to us. We here at the Second Syndicate are here to help you.
And you need to show up
and
and
educate
vote.
you. Yes, you need to register to vote. You need to understand what you're voting on, and you need to learn how to read your blue book. We are going to have more workshops this year to teach people after the legislative session how to get involved and what they could do to educate themselves. So go to our website, thesecondsyndicate.com, and sign up for our newsletter and reach out to either Teddy or myself. You can reach us at info@thesecondsyndicate with the number 2, the 2ndsyndicate.com, and let us know. I have some people in the chat. They say, hey, they have time that they can volunteer. We need volunteers.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. Tell us what you're willing to do.
Also-
we need door knockers. We need street teams. We need people who have a skill. If you know how to build a website, if you are a gunsmith, if you are a firearms educator, let us know. Also, I want to give a shout out to where you give a lot of your educational classes at is Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry sits on the board with us at the CFFLA. So if you don't know, Teddy is the vice president of the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association. I am the secretary of the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association, and Phoenix Weaponry is our legislative
Director.
Yeah. So, and that is Armagost's buddy, and he makes some great Colorado-made firearms out of Berthoud. So if you're looking to support a 2A company that's here in Colorado, reach out to us at the Second Syndicate. We're more than happy to get you connected with Phoenix
Also,
Weaponry.
I know we have a lot of military guys that are probably watching the show tonight. Guys, especially if you're coming from a conservative state where your vote does not matter as much as it does here in Colorado, the margin to flip Colorado to red is very thin in a lot of House districts. I mean, hell, we had Kelty win her district by 3 votes, I think. 3 votes to turn a blue seat red. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Get
you
involved.
can register to vote while you're here on orders. Do it. If especially if you're coming from a state like Texas, Tennessee, somewhere like that, we need your vote here in Colorado. If you're going to be stationed here for the next 4 to 8 years, register to vote here in Colorado. We need you.
And also, I want to make an announcement to everybody out there as well. We have opened up our media reach here at the Second Syndicate, so we are now going to be featured live weekly on the Kim Munson Show. If you're not familiar with who Kim Munson is, she is a fantastic voice for the conservative movement here in Colorado on KLZ. So you can find us live from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday at KLZ. It's either KLZ 560 a.m. or KLZ 100.7 FM. You can also go to the KLZ website and the KLZ app, or you can even say, Alexa, play KLZ, and it will bring that up. So Teddy and I will be featured on that radio show every Friday morning at about 7:10 in the morning. So shout out to that.
I'm not going to spoil it, but we may have a much bigger
Stop
announcement coming
it!
here soon.
Stop it! This guy, he needs to shut the F up. We're not
Teaser.
telling people anything until it's done. So there you have
That's right.
that.
I'm not going to say any details, but something big is coming.
Send us good vibes, y'all. Send us good vibes, because that's exactly what the Second Syndicate was created to do, is to have difficult conversations. It's to press the envelope. It's to put a voice and a face to what the Second Amendment is. I'm the Second Amendment. He's the Second Amendment. Armagost is the Second Amendment. We don't all look the same, but you know what? We all live, eat, and breathe freedom, and that's the most, that's the gateway drug to freedom, is firearms. So if you want to get involved with the Second Syndicate, please reach out to us. We really would appreciate it. We're closing near the end of the show. We usually ask our guest, which is, of course, Armagost, to
We've
tell
already
us.
asked Scott this, so let's ask Ryan. What is your...
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go
what's
ahead.
Your, what's
All
your
right.
favorite gun? What's your EDC, brother? I know we might have something new coming here soon, but what is it?
Yeah, my everyday carry currently is a Hellcat Pro. That's just my go-to for that with a red dot on it.
It's a
But
good choice. I carried one of those for about 3 years myself. They're good
yeah,
guns.
it's good compact. Yeah.
And give us a quote that you would like to leave the people with.
I think the biggest thing, especially under our current circumstances, is everyone has to be involved in some fashion or another. And I used it in the military because there are people that just question whether they should serve in any capacity. But getting down here and testifying, getting your voice heard, getting out to vote, doing what you can to be a part of the process. The quote that sticks in my mind is, if not you, then who? If not now, then when?
That's right.
The time is now, and you are the person that needs to step up and get involved in all of this. Get into the fight. Get into the fray with us. We're all on the front lines. We'll be shoulder to shoulder, but we got to keep up this fight as long as we can.
Yeah, no one else is going to do it for you. A lot of people have that fallacy. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
In closing, I want to give a special thank you and a special shout out to Jeff at Specialty Sport and Supply
Jeff's a good dude.
in Colorado Springs. He actually provided a Springfield Echelon that was tricked out with all the Crimson Trace flashlight and optic and mags and bag and all that
For our
stuff
Willie
for
Tank
our
Williams
event
event.
that
Yeah.
we had last week at the gallery.
It's
And
Jeff over at Specialty Sports, guys. You know, he's here in town with me in Colorado Springs. Again, there's enough business to go around. Support your local stores. He's been hugely involved in this 2A battle. Support him. All of us right now, all your local stores, they need the business. They need the support right now, especially now more than ever.
And when you think about how to support us, I had somebody in the comments say, how do we get involved? How do we change things? How you get involved is start believing in yourself, man. Start remembering that your voice matters. Show up to testify. Reach out to who your representatives and your senators are.
And
Start
again,
getting
show up to
involved in your
vote.
community. If you have kids, get involved in the PTA. Get involved in your HOA. That's where most commie stuff starts anyway. Get involved in making gun ownership normal again. Be open about the fact that it's okay to carry guns. Get involved in training. If you don't know how to start, reach out to Teddy or myself. You can reach us at info@spartandefense.com. You can also share our content. You can go and follow Representative Ryan Armagost. You can support the 2A caucus by donating to them. You can support our peers in this industry. And you can make sure that you're liking and subscribing to this channel because we are heavily shadow banned as a 2A organization.
Let me say something on that. We also have our secondary YouTube channel that is called The Second Syndicate.
That's
spelled
right.
out. Make sure you follow us on that channel as well. We will be transitioning our show to that channel because of restrictions on our current accounts. So please follow us at YouTube, The Second Syndicate spelled out. And also on X. Me and Alicia both have our own personal X accounts.
So does
we have
Spartan.
the Boomstick Babe. We have Colorado 2A King. And then also we have Spartan Defense as well on X. X is one of the only platforms where we can actually say what we need to say, post pictures, post guns, do all that kind of stuff that we are not allowed to do on. I mean, hell, we posted a giveaway on Facebook for the Lily Tang Williams event for a gun bag, a cleaning kit, and they put like 3 or 4 strikes on our account, shut down our monetization, and said that the next strike they would deactivate our entire Facebook. For the first offense. We've had 0 strikes on that account before. We were able to get it. We were fortunately able to get that overruled through appeal process, but it just shows you the type of censorship we're facing in the 2A community. We need a place where we can have a public forum, and right now that is X. Get on there. Ryan's on there. I'm on there. Alicia's on there. Scott's on there. And it's one of the only places you'll actually get real responses from real human beings as well. I mean, hell, we trolled the hell out of Chad Clifford and several other of the left wing members very effectively on there. And I think Polis may need a little bit of that right now from you folks that are watching.
Blow
live.
up Governor Jared Polis right now. Let him know
Call
what
him
you
out.
think about it because you know what? Fuck that dude. I'm sorry to cuss, but
Oh,
you
God,
know what?
Here we go.
Fuck
there goes our
him.
monetization for the night.
Oh,
Don't
well.
worry about that.
Oh well. I said it. It wasn't in the first 15
It's just like South
seconds.
Park. We're allowed to get away with one F-bomb, and we just
And I
used
said it. The dude could just go take one.
Yeah.
I am the plaintiff in Garcia
does that.
versus Polis. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting for you. As long as there's air in my lungs, I will keep fighting for the 2A, and we will hear as well.
Guys,
one
thank you.
person.
Thank you, everybody that tuned in. We have another question that Alicia's going to mention here.
And then
but
I'm
please,
and then we're
please
gonna
share
close
this
out.
link as well on your social media. Share the show so that we can get those views, so that people can see the information we're putting out there, and so that we can have a successful show. Because at the end of the day, the algorithm isn't going to do it for us. It's you guys out there watching at home that are going to be able to help us disseminate this information and get
Absolutely.
it out.
I see a lot of people naming some gun shops in the chat, and they're saying that they go to certain shops and they can't make it to the Springs. Keep in mind, you can go to SpartanDefense.com and you could buy guns from here, and we could
That's true.
ship it
That's true.
to
But
that
also
local gun
support your
shop.
local
And
shops,
then,
guys. I mean, there's enough business to go around.
yeah, they
You
get the
know,
transfer fee. It helps support us.
I would just ask a few things. Is your local shop involved in the 2A? Did they show up to testify at any point during this legislative session?
Yep.
Also, are they a member of the CFFLA, the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association, the only trade association for FFLs in the state of Colorado who spent their life up at the Capitol this legislative session?
Yeah.
I would ask those questions. And if they're not, you may want to ask why. And if they don't get involved in some way, find another local gun shop that is.
And send them our way. If they have never heard of us, send them to Teddy, myself. You could send them to my email, alicia@cffla.org, and we'll get them hooked up. But in that fashion there, again, thank you to everybody. Please like, subscribe, head over to the Second Syndicate.
And share.
We are going to be doing some giveaways for the people that are going over to follow that channel so we can build up a following over there. For anybody between now and the next 60 days that goes over to that channel and likes and shares and tags somebody and they follow, we will enter you into a giveaway. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now, but it's going to be pretty awesome. And the quote that I want to leave you guys with tonight in honor of something that Scott Bottoms said earlier is by Dylan Thomas. This is, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave as close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. The wise men in their end know the dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning they. Do not go gentle in that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright. Their frail deeds may have danced in a green bay. Rage against the dying of the night." We will not stand for these atrocious grievances against the freedom of people. We will fight whether the feds come involved or we file lawsuits. Whatever we have to do, we will make sure that no matter what, freedom will reign. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. We will see you next week on Thursday, 6 p.m.
Thursdays
Sign up,
live, 6 p.m.
subscribe.
Mountain Standard
We'll
Time.
see ya. Peace.
Thank you guys. Thanks again, Ryan. Oh God, I
Thank
got
you, guys.
All right, love that.